morning, everyone. Thank you for joining us. First of all, I want to thank Javidan Rodriguez, our president at UAlbany, for hosting us here today at this incredible building, ETAC, which is a home of many important assets for the state of New York. The National Weather Service is here. We have Mesonet, so we have our meteorologists able to monitor in real time what is happening with the weather, and the weather has certainly taken a front row position in terms of our attention these days. I just want to take a moment to, first of all, acknowledge my extraordinary team with me. We have our Commissioner of Emergency Services.
Eyewitness News.
And I am David Navarro, and we are interrupting The View to bring you breaking news out of Albany. Right now, Governor Hochul is briefing the public on the very latest on the air quality alert. Let's listen in.
Crisis, and we want to make sure that we are deploying all of our resources and help to anybody where we can. And the most important thing is information. The most important thing we can do is give people real-time information and let them know what they can be doing to protect the health of themselves and their families. So we've been acknowledging the fact that even today, after 6 days of notifications coming out from DEC, that people are aware that this is happening, that's, this is an extraordinary event. It's unprecedented in terms of the source of the air contaminants that we're experiencing right now, that we are now talking about the fact that there still remains poor air quality across the state of New York. And I just want to give an update from our update yesterday. We are still seeing every place is unhealthy except for the Adirondacks. Now, that might be a nice promotion for the Adirondacks. That is the only place with clean air in the state right now. We're seeing unhealthy air quality levels in Long Island, New York, Eastern Lake Ontario, Central New York, Western New York. And then we also have categories of healthy for sensitive individuals. So there's two different categories: unhealthy for everybody, unhealthy for people with sensitive sensitivities. That would be children, senior citizens, people with respiratory challenges. That would be the upper and lower Hudson Valleys. We saw yesterday some very disturbing numbers in New York City. They've come down from the 400 level, but we should never get complacent and think that the 200 air quality quotient index is satisfactory. But right now we're experiencing 209 in Brooklyn, 207 in Queens, and 191 in the Bronx. And again, normal is 50. Actually, quite often in the state of New York, we have pristine air. It's normally about 35. Frequently it's 35, normal is 50. So we look to see weather improving over a few days. We're having the rain right now. Apparently the particles attach to the rain and they come down, but it does have a chance to cleanse them. I can have more explanation on that from Jackie Bray. But we still have spikes, individual spikes of over 400 in some regions. And the message is this is not over. We might get a little respite, but I don't want people to let down their guard and to become complacent about this, because we have to be prepared for the winds to shift. This is the unknown. We're tracking the large plume that is originating from primarily Nova Scotia, Eastern, and also Quebec, but also, knowing that this is going to continue to have a negative impact on our health. I don't think there's a single person who hasn't felt something different. More frequent coughing and just a tightness in the throat, a watering of the eyes. And those are for people who are healthy. For those who have health conditions underlying already, it's a real challenge for them. And so we want to make sure that you're getting in touch with people. There are people in vulnerable communities, people who may not be checking their phone every couple of minutes for updates. They may not be seeing the news, and these are the people we're trying to reach out to. We want to make sure that people stay indoors. Yesterday, we asked schools and child care centers to cancel or postpone outdoor school activities. Again, let's talk about the school environment. It is very safe in our school buildings, particularly since during the pandemic, we used federal dollars and we're aggressively getting new filters in our schools and our child care centers, so they are much safer than children playing outside. We've been asked often, should we be canceling schools? If that means the kids are going to be outside, absolutely not. Just after school activities that are outdoor we're talking about. We're also having employers encourage them to make sure their own employees are taking precautions. Our own state workforce, we are tracking the air quality regularly, adjusting work assignments, and asking our commissioners to be very attuned to what's going on in the particular region they are. I will also say, this was brought up yesterday, this is our old friend. One you never want to see again, perhaps, But this mask can make a difference, not just outdoor, although I did see someone outside running on my way here wearing one of these masks. At least he was wearing a mask. But even indoors, if you have a situation where you don't have air conditioning, you have a situation where you're not feeling good inside, continue to put this on. This will make a big difference for people. We are distributing these. We did these during the morning rush this morning in New York City. We have them at state parks, MTA stations, Javits Center, bus terminals. So we're trying to be as open-minded to different opportunities to get these out to people, encouraging local governments. We did a Zoom call last night with all the county executives and the mayors across the state, letting them know that we have resources. We have storage depots where we have these available to them as well. So I wanted to also announce that we are announcing that we are sending Force Rangers to Canada, larger scale operations. I can have Commissioner Hisegos talk about that, but this is after I spoke to the Consul General yesterday to just touch base in Canada, how they're doing, and he was meeting with the Prime Minister. We offered more assistance. We had offered previously, but they're now taking us up on it, so we're sending our first firefighters. We're joining a member of individuals from New Hampshire and Maine as well. They'll be departing from the Saratoga Fire Department on Friday and traveling to Quebec. They've asked for 7 people over the next 2 weeks. We can certainly change those numbers at their request. I also noted that President Biden is also sending firefighters. This is how we can deal with this, helping Canada get to these really remote areas. This is what the Consul General told me. He says, these are such remote areas, they're almost impossible to access. But containment's important to us. We want to get these under control, so I'm really proud that we're going to have New York citizens up there trying to battle these fires to help Canada, but also the collateral damage, which is the state of New York has been really hard hit by inferior air quality, unsatisfactory air quality. I know a lot of people are looking forward to the Belmont Stakes this weekend, so let me give a report on that. We have instituted enhanced measures to protect the horses, the riders, and the spectators. Yesterday, we decided, in my direction, the Gaming Commission directed all tracks to stop workouts and trainings yesterday. That'll continue through today. And this morning, the measures are going to implement, if the air quality exceeds 200 at the facility, at any facility, there will be no racing. That's going to be canceled if the air quality is above 200. If the air quality is 150 to 200, only horses that pass an additional pre-race vet examination will be permitted to race. And we're closely monitoring this because this is a national phenomenon. People come from all over the country. It's huge for the local economy. And so we hopefully can get this going, but there's no assurance of what the weather's going to be, so it's going to be a last-minute decision, I'm sure. Still having significant delays at our airports. LaGuardia, in particular, downstate airports are definitely affected, but the Weather Service predicts that conditions should start to improve, and we're monitoring all the conditions at airports regularly. Here's my message. This is the new reality we're dealing with. I know a lot of people are stressed out after what happened during the pandemic. I want people to know this is a very different circumstance. We believe it'll be short-term, not long-term decisions will have to be made to keep people indoors. We're not making those decisions. This is personal. But we are taking climate change so seriously here in the state of New York. Always have been. And I've said before, we're the first generation to really feel the effects of climate change and the last one to be able to do anything meaningful about it. So that is why we're going to continue our fight against climate change. And you think about even the Clean Air Act, which we have. The reason we have a Clean Air Act enacted back in 1970 was the tremendous loss of life when we had the smog event in New York City back in 1966, and almost 170 people lost their lives because of the air quality at the time. So we're living in an era of extreme weather, statement of fact, and we're going to continue doing what we can to help do our part. We're doing our best in New York. We also need other states and the international community to join this fight as well, because I don't know what more evidence they need that we are in a crisis with our climate right now. Let's talk about what New Yorkers can do. I think about how to prepare. We do a lot of notices when it comes to major snow events, what people need to be doing to take precautions. But I think it's as simple as this. You don't need a snow shovel. You need to keep the masks in your house, and you need to keep your phone handy. And there's information on your phone in real time. We can get you the numbers. You can look up easily just on your weather app. You can go to our sites, but you can also just go to the weather map. Look for that number. That number appears on your app. It'll tell you what is going on. Right now, we're at about 191, I believe, in Albany, at least it was a little bit earlier today. So keep an eye on that. And that should gauge your family activities. You should make decisions based on those numbers and really restrict yourself until you see those numbers starting to get into a safer zone. And it's all very clear for people. But again, not everybody has a phone. They're not watching it all day. There are residents out there who need our help. Again, similar to a snowstorm, check on your neighbors. Check on senior citizens who may not be on a cell phone, may not be watching the news. And these are some of the most vulnerable people we have in our state. So this is another opportunity to be a good neighbor, to check in on people. And also, in your own home and in your car, you can turn on the air conditioning, but be aware that you need to have the recirculate button on in your car and in your home, especially if you're using in your home one of the window air conditioners, because otherwise you're drawing in outdoor air right into your home, and that is dangerous. Turn on the recirculate the air so it stays internally, and make sure that your filters are clean. A lot of people don't replace them very much. They lose their effectiveness if you don't replace the filters and clean them regularly. So that's what's important. Get out to everybody. For the meantime, really the best thing to do is just stay indoors. That way you won't have unintended health effects. You won't have the discomfort of having the smoke fill your lungs. And we're asked often about, are we seeing an increase in people going to emergency rooms? Are we seeing the health effects? It is still early. This has only been in full force and in a very detrimental, dangerous way for the last few days. And it does take some time, but we have seen, Dr. McDonald's monitoring, we're not seeing a spike in people going to emergency rooms, but there are a couple hospitals, particularly in New York City, that are reporting more people stopping in. So I would like to ask Basil Sagos to talk a little more about the Mesonet, how we're doing our real-time monitoring of information. And we'll be happy to give a tour of that afterwards so everybody knows exactly how we're getting our information and making sure it gets out to the public as soon as possible. Basil Sagos.
Thank you, Governor.
I'm Shirlene Ellicott along with David Navarro here, and you've been listening to Governor Kathy Hochul briefing us on the air quality alert in effect across our area. She's encouraging people to be on alert. Don't be complacent. Stay indoors until the AQI, the air quality index, gets to safer levels out there. And as we've been reporting to you, she made available 1 million N95 masks that were handed out throughout the area, throughout the state of New York, just to make sure that people are remaining vigilant.
Yeah, this air quality alert obviously impacting so much of our lives right now. And we're going to have a complete wrap up at Eyewitness News at noon of all the things that are being impacted, from schools to possible Belmont Stakes coming up. They're keeping an eye on a lot of things. But there is a hope that the conditions are gradually improving. So let's go over to meteorologist Danny Beckstrom and get the very latest on the conditions. Danny.
Hey, David and Shirlene, this number definitely looking better than even what it did an hour ago, and certainly better than it was yesterday, but still not in a safe zone. The AQI right now in New York City at 188. So when we look at our index here, we're still in that unhealthy zone. We've been bouncing between unhealthy and very unhealthy today. Again, Governor Hochul just told us we typically see that. We see good air quality between 0 and 50. So this is still going to be to the point that it impacts our health, and you still have to make those plans to take care of yourself, the proper precautions. It's good to see that we're not 300 plus like we were yesterday, even early this morning. We saw that in New York City, so improvement, but we're still not in a great place. You see most of the tri-state unhealthy right now, still spots of, it looks like northwest New Jersey, maybe a couple areas still very unhealthy. As we zoom out, that thick plume of smoke now off to our west, hazardous conditions in parts of eastern Pennsylvania, it looks like, but gradual improvement is expected as we move into tomorrow. So I want to time this out on Futurecast for you. This is a high resolution near surface smoke model, so it doesn't look too far out. It takes us to about Saturday, but that's all we need when it comes to looking at the Belmont Stakes, right? So we'll time this out through the remainder of tonight. Still going to see that high concentration of near surface smoke through your Thursday afternoon and into Thursday night. Overnight into tomorrow morning, finally starting to see improvement. We'll get a subtle shift in wind direction, which makes all the difference. Keep in mind it's fickle. If the wind direction isn't exactly out of the north and east like we're seeing, we could see a little more of that smoke concentration into tomorrow. But with this, what this model is showing is enough of that wind direction shift to bring in some slightly cleaner air starting Friday morning. This means a marked improvement through tomorrow afternoon. Not totally perfect. We're still looking at moderate air quality for Friday, but definitely better than today and certainly better better than what we dealt with yesterday. This takes us into Saturday morning, so it doesn't quite take us into the point that we're looking at the Belmont Stakes, but it shows such serious improvement that at this point we're not looking at that air quality index expected to be close to the 200 mark. So cautiously optimistic. Again, this high-resolution model shows a clear wind direction shift. If that's not exactly what happens into Saturday, we could get a thicker plume of smoke moving back in. But all signs right now trend in the direction of air quality clearing out ahead of weekend events. So looking good at this point. So look in the weather headlines today. Unhealthy air quality sticks around. We're also looking at a few spotty showers this evening. Tomorrow, we see a marked improvement in air quality. Still not perfect, but better. Cloudy and cooler for June. And by the weekend, temperatures warming up. Our spotty showers are starting to dry out, especially by Sunday, and much better air quality. Looking at temps right now, 60s, close to 70 in Newark. It is running cool for this time of year. And here's the wind. You see most of those wind direction arrows out of the north, northeast, bringing in that plume of smoke, keeping that air quality alert in play. As we zoom out on satellite and radar, I just kind of want to show you the general setup. This upper level low here spinning around the portions of New England, just with the way that wind circulates around an upper level low, you see that wind direction pulling in all of that smoke from right where those wildfires are burning and delivering it right to us. As this area of low pressure wiggles around a little bit, it will be able to send us some cleaner air. It's going to improve that air quality, but it also brings us a few of these spotty showers. So I want to show you this on Futurecast. Just be aware of a few hit or miss areas of rain tonight. Will dry out for the start of Friday, and then we'll see that spotty rain chance again as we move into tomorrow evening. So just something to think about for your weekend with a couple areas of rain. I want to show you the 7-day really quick so that you can see, yes, we are improving as we move into the weekend here. But for today, the air quality is still something that you have to be aware of. Wear those masks and limit your time outside. But it looks like all signs are pointing to improved air quality as we move our way into the weekend. David and Charlene?
Improvement. That's something that we really are happy to hear. Thank you for that, Danny. But obviously, we do still need to be very vigilant about it. Thank you for that.
Now, earlier today, Mayor Adams briefed the public on how the city itself is monitoring the situation. Let's take a listen to what he had to say.
I just want to give a brief update on what's happening with the smog and the smoke that we are experiencing coming from Canada. Our team has been on the front line organizing and coordinating the efforts. We continue to see, as you know, to reduce visibility across the city. The large plum we saw yesterday has been pushed through the city, and we're expecting gradual improvement through the early afternoon today. But a sea breeze this afternoon could push smoke back over the city. It would be great to see the sun again. But the wind is going to determine that, and we want to continue to encourage people, if you must go outdoors, please put on a mask, N95 mask, as we have recommended. I spent some time yesterday in the NYCHA development handing out masks. We're going to attempt to do so today as well. Conditions along the immediate coast and southern boroughs will likely be worse than in the northern parts of the city. We may see continued improvements later tonight and overnight as the wind becomes light and northerly. As of right now, the smoke models are not indicating another large plum over the city, so there's a chance for significant improvement by tomorrow morning and throughout the day tomorrow.
The latest from Mayor Adams with the conditions that are happening right now in the city and the outer boroughs. Now let's go to New Jersey, which has been experiencing some of the worst air quality. Let's listen in to Governor Murphy.
Our top priority, as always, is to protect the health and safety of all New Jerseyans. So we encourage everyone to take precautions and stay inside if possible. What we have seen is unprecedented. As I mentioned, the widespread nature and uncommonly high levels of fine particulate concentrations reaching the unhealthy category is of a historic magnitude. And poor air quality impacts everyone, and exposure to high levels of particulate matter can cause difficulty breathing, chest pains, and asthma attacks, as Judy will discuss in more detail. Given the forecast for today, we continue to urge strongly all sensitive individuals, especially, meaning those with health conditions like asthma, heart disease, lung disease, as well as our kids, pregnant individuals, and seniors, all of the above, especially, to stay inside. Everyone should try and limit their time outdoors today and avoid strenuous activities. The most effective way to prevent breathing harmful particles from wildfire smoke is to stay indoors with the windows and doors closed. If you must spend time outside, please wear a mask, a good-fitting N95 in particular.
That's the governor of New Jersey. You know, such a tremendous impact from this, and health officials have been keeping a close eye on all of this, from closures at schools. They were lucky in that some of the city schools were already planned closures for the day.
Today.
But other schools in New York City and outside the area are also taking that next step of being precautious and taking the students out of the mix. And the outdoor events are being canceled, a group of them, of course. And we said, go to ABC-7NY. We're going to start giving you a list of all the closures as well as flight delays at the airport, all being impacted by this. Earlier, the New York City Health Commissioner also chimed in when it came to the Yankee game, which in many ways is a game-time decision. Let's take a listen to what the commissioner had to say about the Yankee game today.
It's a little bit unpredictable. So right now, the health guidance hasn't changed. Stay indoors. It's the best way to protect yourself from exposure, particularly as we're seeing changes in the numbers, changes in the levels of pollution. If you can't stay indoors, go out, and you have to be outside, wear a high-quality mask like the one you have around your neck, and avoid outdoor gatherings, avoid outdoor events. If organizers of events can move those events indoors or postpone those events, that remains our recommendation. That guidance hasn't changed.
Thank you for watching the latest on our coverage of the air quality alert throughout our area. Eyewitness News at noon starts right now.
This is breaking news.